we did what we've got to treat. On the streets is where you'll sleep. The government ignores you. It was our job to show you. You see, it just costs too much. Run the house for the nuts. Sorry, Rambo, shut it down. Maybe you can try the next town. Looks like you got nowhere to go, but at least you get to keep your load. The government ignores you. It was our job to destroy you. But you see, it just costs too much. Run the house for the nuts. So Reagan shut down the asylums. There's just no left to hide them. Reagan shut down the asylums. You just can't keep denying them. Government ignores you. It was our job to show you. But you see, it just costs too much. Run the house for the nuts. Out. Reagan shut down the asylums. There's just no left to hide them. Reagan shut down the asylums. You just can't keep denying them. They shut them down. The government ignores you. It was our job to destroy you. But you see, it just costs too much. Run the house for the nuts. Out. Reagan shut down the asylums. There's just no left to hide them. Reagan shut down the asylums. You just can't keep denying them. Reagan shut down the asylums. Reagan shut down the asylums. Reagan shut down the asylums. You just can't keep denying them. Good job, Mr. President.
Welcome to Japan Snowboarder. I'm your host Ken, where people call me Ken-san, here in Furano, Hokkaido, Japan. It's a late start for season 2, but I'm back testing and reviewing powder boards here in Hokkaido, Japan. The aim of this show is to help you find the right powder board for hitting the slopes of Japan. If you'd like to support this channel and want an amazing snowboard adventure next winter, book with us, Furano Snow Tours. We offer private snowboard tours, and we'll also have group snowboard tours for individuals to join. Dates and information will be out in March, and hopefully life and travel will get back to normal for next winter. Today we have the Drifter by Def Label. Def Label is a Japanese brand with a punk hardcore feel. I first came across the coffin-shaped powder board, the Coffin. After that, I came across this little beauty, the Drifter. Okay, looking at the shape of the board, it's got a standard looking tail and a slightly longer pointy nose. When we look at this board side on, it's got a flat camber profile from here to here and a rocker nose. Some unique features of this board is the sharp upturn in the tail and also the 3D spoon nose. In terms of the flex, I give this board a 5 out of 10. It's one of the more softer boards for me to ride. Also, what's different about this powder board is the stance is relatively centered, where a lot of other powder boards, the stance is set back. So what that means is, with the longer nose, it helps the nose stay above the powder, and with that 3D spoon nose, it really pushes the snow to the side, giving lift in the board. With the softer flex, this makes this board much more playful, and with the more centered stance, this makes this board a great freestyle powder board for both on and off piste, where you can ride switch, do ground tricks, and just be more playful all around. So let's talk about how this board goes on the snow. I'm 180 centimeters tall, and when I first rode this board at the end of last season, I was 74 kilos, and currently I'm about 78 kilos. This board is 158 centimeters long, and I first rode this in some spring snow last season. I really enjoyed this board. It really made me snowboard way more playful. I decided to, instead of be so serious about hitting the powder all the time, it was about having fun around the resort. So let's talk about that first. This board has great edge grip from nose to tail when carving and going up firm banks on the side. Looking at the board more closely, the amazing edge grip is due to the subtle bumps along the front foot here and the back foot here along the side cut radius, helping with better traction in firm and icy snow. So sometimes with 3D spoon noses in powder boards with the upturn in the sides, they have a tendency to lose an edge and slide out. But with this board, that isn't the case. The reason why is that I think the 3D nose starts after the side cut radius and not before. I was impressed with these two features in the design of this board. How pro skateboarder Andy Anderson approaches skateboarding has inspired me to snowboard less serious and aggressively and have more fun learning new moves and discovering new possibilities for myself in riding. With this board, I really found a new enjoyment riding around in spring, just cruising around slowly, looking for features around the resorts to ride up, along the edge, balance, butter, ride out switch, and just be more playful. So this board is good for that for a number of reasons. One, this board is soft with good torsional flex, make it easier to steer this board with your feet even at low speeds. Two, it has a shorter side cut radius for smaller, tighter turns. Three, the stance on this board is much more centered like a regular snowboard, making it easy to ride and come out of situations switch. And four, this board has a decent length tail, which is snappy for pop. And five, the flat camber profile is great for releasing the edge and sliding out when you want it to. Okay, so more importantly, let's discuss how this goes in the powder. I had to wait to the beginning of this season to get this board in the powder, and boy, I had fun. Looking at the footage at the beginning of the show, we can see a number of things. The shorter, softer board fits nicely in tighter bowls and gully sections, where a longer, stiffer board would struggle. The shorter, softer board fits nicely in quick changing contours. If this was a surfboard, surfers would say this fits nicely in the pocket of small waves. It's nice to have a tail on this board for landing when launching off things, unlike the Storm Chaser, where it's difficult to land because it didn't have that tail for stability. Also, with the full tail, you find that this board tends to drift in your turns in the powder, unlike a board with a swallowtail, say the Storm Chaser or the Battalion Surfer, where the swallowtail gives a bite in the powder. Hence the name, the Drifter. I found this to be the case with another board which also had a full tail. You just need to keep that in mind and initiate that turn a little sooner. I found this board to be super fast in the powder. I think it's due to the flat camber and also the more centered stance. I think with the more centered stance, with another board I also ridden last season, it felt that you're snowboarding with the same gradient as the slope, where with a shorter tail, you tend to push the tail end back and lifting the nose. And I feel like you have more resistance there, where with more centered, if you can ride a snowboard with more centered stance and with the same gradient as a slope, I feel like you're skimming the surface and getting much more speed. With your standard snowboard, your nose would probably sink into the powder, but with the 3D spoon nose, it keeps the nose above the powder at all times. One thing I did find is that with all that speed on steeper slopes, is that with the shorter, softer board, it had less stability, where a longer, stiffer board would provide that. I stacked it a few times. I think some of those high-speed stacks in the powder is due to the softer tail. When putting those critical turns in, I felt like the tail flexed and then gave way. Currently I'm 80 kilos, and I think with a lighter, smaller rider, that probably wouldn't be the case. I found this board to be great in tight trees. It's just easy to turn with the softer torsional flex. Okay, what I think is great about this board is the 3D nose. As you can see in the footage, you can see how smooth the turns are in the powder and how the nose is always above the powder. Okay, so who's this board for? This board is for the smaller and lighter rider, I'd say under 80 kilograms. This is a board for all level of riders looking for a versatile snowboard which is fun and playful both on and off piste. If you're looking for a first powder board, I highly recommend the Drifter, as this shape will feel similar to your regular snowboard. Thank you for watching this episode of Japan Snowboarder. Hope you got a lot out of this episode, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. If you want to leave a comment, please do so down below. And if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up. We also now do powder board rentals, and you can rent this board, the Drifter, and many others in Furano. And until next time, mata ne.
Good job, Mr. President.